The Creator, Shadows of the Soul, Chapter 3, The Lines Blur. The scene opens with the sound of a cafe and light chatter, the clinking of cups. The protagonist is sitting by himself, sipping coffee, when a woman's voice breaks through the ambient noise. Do you mind if I join you? All of the tables are taken here. Danny looked up, surprised. Sure, go ahead. There's plenty of seats at this table. I'm actually waiting on 2 guests of my own, 2 former employees. It'll be nice. We shared something special together, working together. You're welcome to join us. We could be a foursome. If you can't find a table, you're welcome to stay. Danny then stops talking abruptly, his mouth falling open. The blonde woman standing before him is the spitting image of the character in his book. His mind races. My God, she's the woman from my book, the one I named Galatea. The blonde woman then takes a seat, her chair scraping lightly against the floor. You realize that most people would have said no, but you said yes. You're kind, just as you described yourself. Well, just as you described yourself on paper. She then changes topics. You look preoccupied. I hope I didn't disturb you when I came up to you. You look deep in thought, like you were working through something. And Danny says, no, I was just going over ideas for a plot. I'm a writer, and, writers think a lot, and I guess that's what we do. Well, then if you're working on a plot, you mind sharing it with me? Because a good story is always welcome, and, I love stories, don't you? Maybe we all do. Well, it's actually a radio drama. It isn't a book. Oh, I love radio dramas, the lady says. If I was to be in any kind of book or magazine or story, it would be a radio drama. So do tell, she says. Well, it's about a writer and a female character, but as I write it, she becomes more real to me as the writer. Very odd, right? More real, the lady says, looking intrigued. How so? Well, sometimes characters take on a life of their own. The Galatea lookalike leans in slightly. I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes it's like the characters we create are reflections of parts of ourselves, or maybe something that we're missing. Danny is suddenly taken aback by her insight, staring at her intently. Do I know you? You seem very familiar. And you are like the living 3D image of what I describe as the mysterious woman in my radio drama. What's up with that? Am I being punked or something? And the lady says, maybe we just met somewhere else or in another life. Or maybe you've imagined me before. Then she smiles. Tell me something. Are you pleased with what you see or disappointed? And Danny, off balance for a moment, finds his feet and says, well, you're very attractive. And I'm sure you've been told that a lot. It's not only that you're very attractive, you're also very classy, and you can think on your feet when it comes to speaking, so I admire that. In fact, you're bold, just like the lady I described in my radio drama. Well, how did you describe yourself, though? Danny grabbed his mouth. Oops. That's a great point. I never did describe myself. Well, the writer in the story who falls in love with this female character, but I can go back and add it anytime. That's the great part about writing. Or, he says, you can do it for me. You can tell me a description. I can transcribe it right here on my cell phone and use it. You could become part of the story. But I thought I was part of the story. Well, anyway, the blonde lady says, you truly want me to describe you? Well, only if it's flattering. Danny is enjoying the banter with the lady, for she is both engaging and also witty. Let's see, she starts. I would describe you as a man who's seen a lot and has also been worn down a bit by life. Yes, worn down, but still carrying a spark of wonder in those light eyes of yours. You have those beautiful blue eyes and your gray hair, your trim and fit frame. They speak about someone who's lived with purpose, someone who's intelligent and thoughtful. But there's also a softness, a curiosity about you, especially with everything that's been happening lately. It's as if, well, despite everything, you're still open to the mysteries that life has to offer. The writer is dumbstruck. I'm amazed. You came up with all that just from looking at me? You can surely size people up. That's a very eloquent description and right on point. You must write yourself. You are a writer, right? Well, I exist, and that means like anyone else who exists, I'm part of the process. So even if I don't write, someone wrote me into existence in essence, so what's the difference? But here's the real question to ask. Even if I was a writer, who would fill those holes that exist in your life? The holes we talked about. Would you expect me to fill them, or would you yourself fill them? And Danny says, intrigued yet leery, but I never mentioned any holes, and you keep returning to it. I never sent out a copy of my manuscript. I don't even think it's in the manuscript. So how do you know about what I discussed in my head with a character strictly on a mental basis, mind to mind? Well, you can't expect me to give away all my secrets, the lady says. After all, the story's just beginning. Danny grows panicked. I got to get out of here. I mean, looking like my character is one thing, but knowing the things that I shared only in my mind with her, that's another thing. I'm losing my mind. Or somehow you're her and a print character, a fiction character came to life. This is too weird for me. I got to get out of here. I really got to get out of here. With that, Danny literally runs from the cafe, leaving startled customers and servers in his wake. And although he knows he's going to be standing up David and Tricia, he had better make a quick phone call or text to save the day, otherwise he'll have a lot of explaining to do. The scene shifts to Dr. Harrison's office, and Harrison says, So you met someone who seems familiar, almost like she stepped out of your script. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, it's unsettling. And she looked and acted just like the character and even recited the things that we shared in our own heads together. I didn't even write it down on my manuscript. But I have to tell you, nutty or not, I think we hit it off. It's a shame she's a character. The physician's brow furrows. I would first say that this is a mind playing tricks on you, that you're having issues because there's too much stress in your life. But it's also possible that you're manifesting what you think in your mind and what you truly desire. You're a doctor. You believe in manifestation? And Dr. Harrison digresses. I was the only boy in the family. In those days, boys took over the family business. And I was supposed to take over my father's very good business, but I wanted to be a doctor. I saw it every day in my mind. I worked hard in school. They sent the wrong transcripts out, and I had to go to France to go to medical school. Can you believe it? But I learned French. I learned medicine. I'm a doctor. Believe me, it was tough. No favors for Americans over there. So that proves manifestation doesn't work, Danny says, but Harrison shakes his head. No, it might prove that it does. Despite that setback, I became that doctor I wanted to be, just in a different way. My point is, I believe in the power of manifestation. I'm not saying you created this woman out of nothing, but you may have attracted someone very much like her into your life who matches the one you've been imagining. Just give it some thought. Or it also could be coincidence. Danny spoke up. You know, the oddest thing, she belonged in that cafe. There was a sense that she's there to complete something. And what was it that you were there to complete with her? Harrison asks. And the writer says, well, like the double said in the cafe, the story is just beginning. Danny returns to his study, tearing through pages of the manuscript. He finds some pages that he doesn't remember writing, and he reads from them. She was becoming more than just a character, more than just words on a page. The more I wrote, the more I felt her presence, not just in my mind, but in my life. The more real she became. It was as if the boundaries between my fiction and reality were breaking down, and she was stepping through. He collapses into a chair as he reads the final page. She is here, now, not just in my mind, but in my world. She is the embodiment of my desires, my fears, and my loneliness. And she is waiting for me to see her, to truly see her.